Totnes Holiday。こんにちは、高宮幸明です。今日はですね、イギリスのデボンにあるトットネスに来ています。ここはトランジションタウン発祥の地として有名なところなんですけども、トランジションタウントットネスでどんなことをやっているのか、いろいろ取材したいと思います。よろしくお願いします。You were involved in the transition town Totnes, right, Jay?
I've been involved in transition town Totnes for, over 8 years, ever since I moved here. I moved here from California in 2011 and then got involved later that year.
Okay, yeah. So what is transition town? Well, what is a transition initiative?
The basic idea behind transition is that, well, we're facing some big challenges with climate breakdown and loss of biodiversity, an unstable global financial and economic system, and so on and so on. And very often local communities are kind of vulnerable to the shocks that will come from outside the system. Certainly we're all vulnerable to the loss of biodiversity and climate change. So the first question that transition asks is, what can we do locally? And there's a lot. So transition is all about working together in the community, trying to get people involved in doing things that will help to allow us all to live more sustainable lives, or reduce our impacts, and also to find ways of reconnecting and developing not just a sense of community, but just kind of a better way of living that attracts a lot of people. But also we're looking for projects that help to build resilience, because we know that climate change is coming, and there are some big shocks headed our way. So the more that we can become resilient in taking care of our own needs as much as possible from local resources, the better off we'll be. And I think that's transition in a nutshell.
Meaning becoming self-sufficient within a community?
Well, self-sufficiency is, it's one of those things that we say we'd like to become more self-sufficient, but we don't want to be totally self-sufficient, and I don't think we can either. We're always going to be connected, and we want to be connected to the rest of the world. But the idea is to reduce our dependence on the global economic system. It's the global economic system that's responsible for many of these major challenges that we're facing. So the more that we can meet our needs from local resources in the context of a healthy and abundant bioregion, the better off we'll be. But we don't want to create a wall around our community. That's crazy. We want to be really connected and develop a real kind of sense and a practice of solidarity with people in other places too, in the next door town, but also with the communities in Japan who are looking to do the same thing.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. And what is Transition Town Totnes? I know its whole thing is started in Totnes, but how would you describe transition? You call it the Transition Town Totnes or Transition Totnes?
Transition Town Totnes.
Transition Town Totnes. Yeah. So what do you do in Transition Town Totnes?
What do I do?
Yeah, well, we know what does the Transition Town Totnes?
What is it?
Do? Yeah.
Transition Town Totnes started about 11 years ago, 11 or 12 years ago, something like that. And it was something that kind of arose naturally, but with some outside influence. So Naresh Grande was already here. There were some sustainability groups, or at least one sustainability group in the town. Rob Hopkins moved here from Ireland. They got to talking. They started doing talks and workshops and showing films, running big open space events, and really trying to put across some of the information about peak oil and resource depletion, climate change, climate breakdown, and some of these other issues, and created really kind of an opportunity for people to think really ambitiously about doing projects that could make a difference. And so after doing a couple of these big open space events, I think 30 or 40 or 50 projects got started. Some of them were never going to succeed and they failed immediately. Some of them are still going, like the Totnes Renewable Energy Society, which is a local renewable energy co-op. Transition Homes is another one. This is a community land trust project to build affordable and green homes. But many of the projects started, failed, evolved, and Rob and Naresh kind of looked at each other at this point and said, well, this is cool, what should we call it? And they came up with the name Transition Town Totnes. And since those days, many other projects have happened, especially around food and the food system. That's been a very active and successful thread of activity. Transition Homes is still a project. This is the CLT project I mentioned. Another really successful project is something that was called Transition Streets. And the idea behind that was that people in a neighborhood would work together to support one another to reduce their impacts. So reducing their energy consumption, their water consumption, shopping organically, finding greener modes of transportation and so on. It was really successful. About 600 households in our town got involved, and the size of our town is 8,500, so a pretty sizable chunk. And then we started the REconomy Project in 2011.
The Economy Project.
REconomy Project,
Right,
which is
yeah.
all about economic relocalization.
Right, okay. And that's what you are most involved in at the moment.
What I'm involved
Yeah.
with for the most part, is the REconomy Project.
REconomy,
Yeah.
okay. So what is a REconomy Project?
Good question. So transition in a way came out of permaculture. And Rob Hopkins was teaching permaculture. And one of people often look at transition as being an example of social permaculture. But one of the strands of permaculture thinking, going back to David Holmgren, is the idea of economic relocalization. So the idea, as I was saying before, of meeting more of our own needs from local resources and doing so in ways that respect natural limits, that are inclusive and fair and so on. And so this is what the REconomy Project is all about. So looking at the economics of how we can make that shift. So great, we should have more farms. We should produce renewable energy. We should build more homes. How do we do that? We need to start new enterprises. We need to get more people involved in the community to support these enterprises. And this is the thinking behind the REconomy Project.
Okay, thank you very much. はい、いかがでしたでしょうか。トランジションタウントットネスリエコノミープロジェクトの J トンプトさんのインタビューでした。ですね、詳しくはというか、そのトットネスとそのダーティントンの滞在の時のね、記録がこの日本の里山からイギリスの里山へ、田舎暮らし親子の夏休みという本に書かれていますので、ぜひともこれをお読みください。現在もうすでに Amazon で発売となっています。紙版とね、あと Kindle 版と両方ありますので、ぜひお読みください。よろしくお願いします。ありがとうございました。